Now, Britain is trying to get people to return to the workplace to get the economy going again, but that may not be working out as planned as infections continue to rise. 938 new COVID-19 cases have been reported. That's the second highest daily total since June. And that takes total infections in the UK to nearly 306,000. Holly Hudson joins us for the latest on this. Holly, Britain's back to work strategy got to a lukewarm start yesterday. How's it shaping up today?
Yes, it certainly did, and Boris Johnson's advice still appears to be going unheeded. Those business districts, office blocks that would usually be buzzing with city workers are in fact still deserted, and the advice from the government kicked in yesterday, urging people to return to the office, stop working from home. But in fact, footfall was only up 2% in the centre of London on last week, 68% down year on year. And if we think about why the government is urging people to return to work, it is of course because they want to prevent those businesses, those small cafes, shops and restaurants within those districts from collapsing, those ones that rely on that footfall. And we've seen Pizza Express, the restaurant chain, today announcing more job losses, considering closing 67 restaurants. That's what the government are trying to avoid here. But if you think about it from a business, from a work perspective, of course, we know that transmission increases commuting on public transport, and for those workers that are being allowed to still work from home, many businesses are still permitting that. It just isn't an attractive option to commute into the centre of London to an office right now when they're safe and saving money and time at home. And of course, this also comes against the backdrop of, once again, more criticism being levelled at the government over confused, mixed messaging, in the sense that just before the weekend they actually moved to postpone the further easing of lockdown restrictions, yet they're still encouraging people to return to work.
Holly, what about this current test and trace scheme? Is it good enough to suppress a resurgence of COVID-19? What are experts and people saying?
Well, not according to a report, a study by leading scientists here today, who in fact say that the so-called world-beating test and trace system, according to Boris Johnson, really still isn't up to the job of preventing a second spike. And in fact, if rapid improvements aren't made, a second wave will be triggered, worse than the first, when schools reopen in 4 weeks' time. Now, just to give you a bit of a rundown of what the findings of this study were, they said that a second wave could be prevented if 75% of people with symptoms were tested and 68% of their contacts traced. But at the moment, only half, 50% of contacts are being traced, according to their estimates. Now, the government, of course, argue that the system is in fact delivering, and they're expanding it heading into winter. Capacity will be doubled. They're rolling out rapid tests, but of course the cases and infections are increasing. There's an upward trend occurring here, and we heard from the UK Chief Medical Officer saying the UK really has reached the limit in terms of how much it can open up society without the virus taking off, and trade-offs are going to have to be made, and we're likely going to see some of those trade-offs in the sense that other measures are going to have to be reimposed when schools reopen in 4 weeks' time.
Thanks for that update. Holly Hudson speaking to us from London.